So today, we're going to dive into something really fascinating, the art of understanding yourself. We're going to look at some super practical tools from psychology that can help you get to know your own mind a little better. We're talking about moving from just, reacting on autopilot to actually living with real intention. All right, let's get into it. Does this sound familiar at all? You know that feeling, that nagging sense that you're just going through the motions, living life on repeat, stuck in a pattern that you can't quite put your finger on? Well, if you've ever felt that way, you're definitely not alone. And there's a really good reason for it. So this whole autopilot thing, it's a real experience that a lot of us have. It's basically when our subconscious patterns just kind of take the wheel. So let's look at a few signs that might tell you you're running in this mode. Take a look at this list. See if any of these ring a bell. Finding yourself in the same kinds of relationships over and over, getting hurt in the same familiar ways, or maybe there are certain mistakes you keep making and you don't even know why. If any of this sounds familiar, it's a pretty good sign your automatic responses are in charge. The first step is just noticing them without any judgment at all. Okay, so we've taken a peek inward at our own patterns, but honestly, that's only half the picture. To really get it, we have to look outward too. Because let's face it, we don't exist in a bubble. We're being shaped by the world around us, like all the time. Now, this idea right here, this can be a total game changer. Think about it. How many years have you maybe spent thinking something was wrong with you? But what if that feeling of not being good enough, or whatever it is, isn't actually coming from inside you? What if it's just a reflection of the environment you're in? And when we talk about your environment, we're talking about the whole shebang. Your family, your friends, your relationships, but also the bigger stuff, like the culture you live in, the social media you scroll through, even your city or social class. All of these things are constantly molding our beliefs about ourselves, usually without us even noticing. So, we've got the external forces. Now let's zoom back in and look at the internal engine that's really driving this autopilot mode. But first, let's get clear on what psychology really means in this whole context. Psychology gets a bad rap sometimes. People think it's all just think positive or just love yourself. But real psychological work, it's about seeing yourself honestly. It's about understanding why you feel the way you do and noticing those automatic systems so you can actually learn how to change them. It's a science of self-discovery, really. And this right here, this is the engine, the core loop. It's this non-stop feedback cycle between our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. We tend to think one causes the other, but really, they're all constantly feeding each other in this powerful reinforcing loop. Let me show you what I mean. Let's walk through a classic example. It starts with just a thought, maybe a quick, passing one. Ugh, I'm just inadequate. What happens next? Instantly, your body reacts. That's the emotion. Your shoulders tense up, your stomach drops. And because you feel that way, what do? The behavior. You pull back, you shut down, you get quiet. And that behavior just proves the original thought right, doesn't it? See, I am inadequate. And boom, the loop starts all over again. So all of this leads us to a really big, maybe even kind of scary question. What if the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, this is just how I am, what if they're not actually true? I mean, we all have them, right? These limiting beliefs we carry around. Things like, I'm just not a lovable person, or I'm not confident, or I'm bad with money. We say it so often, it becomes a fact, a core part of our identity. But here's the twist. What if that's not your identity at all? What if it's actually a shield? An old, outdated protection mechanism that your mind created a long time ago to keep you safe from getting hurt. A survival strategy that you just don't need anymore. And this, right here, this is the most hopeful, powerful message of all. Because if these things aren't who you are, if they're things you learned, well, that means they can be relearned. It means change isn't just some nice idea. It is absolutely fundamentally possible. So, the big question is, how? Where do we even start? How do we go from being someone who just reacts to life to someone who actually understands themselves? Well, it all begins with a really simple but incredibly powerful exercise in self-discovery. So here's what I want you to do. Sometime later, just take a few minutes and sit with these questions. When do you get triggered? When do you pull away from people? What really makes you feel small? And the key here is no judgment, just observe. Be a curious scientist looking at your own life and try to spot the patterns. And then, for every answer you come up with, I want you to ask one more really crucial question. When might this have first started? This isn't about blaming your past. It's about understanding the roots of your reactions today. I'm serious. This one question changes everything. It's the difference between being a passenger in your own life and getting into the driver's seat. It's like finding the key to a door you never even knew was there. It's the first step to real self-awareness. By starting to ask these questions, you're not just learning about yourself. You're taking the first step on an incredible journey. You now have the tool, the key, to unlock a much deeper understanding of who you are. So the only question left is, now that you've opened the door, what do you think you'll discover inside?